that was mine too. God does not make mistakes. He doesn't make junk. Because we all are unique and distinct in what we call normal or abnormal or disabled, kind of thing. Like, again, Bryce is fearfully and wonderfully made. Like, God created him, designed him, formed him just like he wanted him.
I'm Austin.
I'm Robby. And this is my wife, Keri, sitting to my left. Wife of November 18th will be 22 years. She and I have been married. We have 3 boys, Griffin, Bryce, and Cole. Keri's amazing. I've been waiting for a while for us to do, because she's shared it kind of various times in different settings, as far as with Bryce and special needs events we've had and families that she's reached out to via social media and stuff like that. But she just has a heart for, obviously not just our child, but for other families that have special needs children and the struggles they face. And so I'm glad she's on tonight.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for having me.
And start off, I want to get to know you a little bit, Miss Keri.
Okay.
Where the only thing I actually really do know about you is that you love serial killer documentaries. And apparently that's like all you watch.
Robby, is you talking about me?
So are you planning to kill Robby? Or
well,
is there a favorite one that stands out? I don't know. That's a weird question I even asked. Do you have a favorite serial killer?
I just like the mystery of it. I really like to get in people's heads, and I don't know. I'm weird like that.
Well, I don't know if it's as much, correct me, as much serial killers as it is like the ID channel and stuff like that, where it's, there's killings, but it's like your unexpected spouse or, there's all kind of crazy topics.
It's very fascinating.
Names. Yeah.
Okay. Man.
Just know this: if I go missing and no one can figure out how it happened,
now it's out. His wife watches
the ID she can cover it up pretty easily, I think. So yeah.
So have you always? Have those always been your favorite type of things to watch, or what else do you like to watch?
Actually, yeah. I love scary movies. Since I was a little girl, I remember watching Children of the Corn. I've just always been fascinated by crazy things like that, and some of them not the real gory ones, but I guess I like the thrill of being scared and suspenseful. But yeah.
How do you handle haunted houses?
Love them.
You love them?
Love them.
Okay. Because I love them too. My family does. But we have 2 different responses to it. I love them because I love being scared. I love like that like the
some
adrenaline
rush or
and all.
Something, yeah.
But the rest of my family, they don't get scared. They walk through it like they have no emotions whatsoever. Yeah. And to me, I don't understand that. Like, why would you go to a haunted house if you're not getting scared? But you get terrified.
I feel the same way. I'm not so scared that I wouldn't do it, kind of thing. But yes, it's just the thrill of it. And I'm like you. I like to be scared. I guess, I know that the ultimate result, I'm going to be safe, I guess. And that's in the back of your head. But yeah, I don't think you would enjoy them if you weren't actually in the moment. You're ready to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
I drop to the floor. I start crawling. Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm terrible.
Scream, holler. Yeah, it's the fun of it.
Oh yeah. What's your favorite scary movie?
Oh,
we talked about The Conjuring.
That's a
last
good one.
week.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I wasn't even able to actually watch the entire thing. It was on in the living room. My family was watching it. And I made sure to wash the dishes during that time. So I'd come in, get glimpses of it, and then when it was getting really suspenseful, that's when I'd back out, go wash the dishes, and then I'd come back a little bit later.
Really?
Yeah, it terrified. I needed to go get something out of my truck, and it's literally right out the door.
Oh no, I have to sit right there. I want to see it all. But Yeah, The Conjuring is really good. Nobody's ever asked me that question before. I don't like the stupid ones like Scream. Like that doesn't really
Yeah.
do anything for me.
I watched Scream for the first time a while back, and that was
Yeah,
not what I
that's
expected.
not really a scary movie. But maybe Children of the Corn too. I guess just because that's a childhood memory, and it did terrify me when I was, I don't know how old I was, but that was pretty scary, and the old Chainsaw Massacre like that.
Okay.
Not the new one. These, everybody's trying to remake these old movies. You can't remake the old movies.
Yeah. What do you think about the Blair Witch Project?
That was okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't really. I don't like the whole shaking of the camera and stuff like that. Just makes me dizzy.
Yeah.
But I mean, the gist of it was good. I just like that. I just didn't like that part that.
Yeah.
I just couldn't keep focused.
I understand that. Yeah. That was that's probably the only like scary movie I've really gotten into, because my parents will like during Halloween we'll watch like Michael Myers and stuff like that, and I watched the It movies.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
But those, I don't know, scary movies don't get me that much. The only reason The Conjuring did was because I'm like, guys, we believe in demons.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
And
I agree.
This is based on a true story. Mm-hmm. The movie's made by Christians. Mm-hmm. And these exorcists are Christians. It feels a little too real.
Yeah, I agree. And it's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's very fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't play around with it, though. I mean, I wouldn't want to be involved in any of it, but I do like to watch it. Because I'm like you, I know that there is evil spirits, and I don't want to get close to any of them.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the like hard part is it scares me because it does seem very real to me, but then I can't not watch it or even like research the movie as I'm watching it, because I'm like, that's super interesting to think that there's like demons possessing people and that they've happened in real places and we can go visit those places.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go visit them, but
no,
it's cool to know that I could, I guess.
I just want to see it from a distance.
Yeah.
Like,
So you wouldn't like stay in a haunted house or anything like that? Like a real, like somebody was murdered in the house. Give you $1,000 if you stay there during the night, all night. No.
Have you ever seen a ghost?
I've never seen one.
Okay. Have you?
No.
No.
You?
No.
Okay.
That'd be really cool if someone did, though. I don't know how. It's kind of like with the aliens. I don't know how much I would actually believe them, but it'd be like nice to hear someone have a story. Like, they seen a ghost.
Yeah, I don't even know of anyone personally. I don't think that's actually seen. Like I said, they saw a loved one, a ghost, or anything like that. I do know, like my mom, when her dad, I was in like second grade when he went to be with the Lord. She was out, I guess, the first night after the funeral, out by the gravesite, and she said, I want to say it was like just crazy, like pitch black, not a star in the sky sort of thing. I don't know if it's cloudy or what it was or whatever, but she just had this sense of like a peace, I guess. And then she looked up and there was like, I forget if it was like a star or something. And it was just kind of a confirmation thing. But then her mother, I don't think she ever said that she saw him, but she had this kind of like sensed him in the house way after he had passed.
I'd move out.
Yeah.
No.
But for both of them, it was peaceful. It wasn't like a scary thing. It wasn't like it was, it was just like, okay, he's with us. It's okay.
I don't understand that at all.
Yeah.
No, I'm getting out. I'm not burning the house down. Like, I don't want to feel your presence. Gosh. All right. So today we're talking about special needs, and do y'all want to start off with just your love story? How about we'll kind of track your story all the way up until now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So like
cool?
when we met, that
Yeah.
sort of thing. Obviously,
When
you
you
don't know
met.
any of that either. Yeah. Would you like to do the honors?
I mean, I can start and you can
Okay,
kind
yeah.
of fill in, I guess,
Go for it.
if you need to. So we met in college. The first thing that struck me with was his eyes. But he always had a hat on, so I mean, it was hard to really see him. But one day I got a glimpse of the eyes, and I was like, "Oh wow, he's got really pretty eyes." And we were both dating other people at the time, so didn't really, dwell on that too much. But it wasn't long before we did start talking and hanging out more, and kind of started developing feelings, and we had to kind of long story short, we got together after college, and he asked me to marry him a couple of years after, well, maybe about a year after college.
I think it's about a year.
He asked me to marry him, and I was scared to death, but I think I always took marriage very seriously, and I knew that when I said yes, it was going to be forever. And so that's the reason I was scared. I just knew that this was it. Am I really sure? But obviously I made the right decision. So we've had a lot of ups and downs, but we've been married, like you said, for 22 years this year. And we have 3 beautiful boys from it. Our oldest is almost 20 in August. He'll be 20. And we have our special needs son is Bryce, and he is 17. Will be 18 in December. And then our youngest is Cole, and he is 15 and will be 16 in December. So we have a house full of, I have a house full of boys, young men. It's challenging. They eat a lot.
Yeah.
And they're kind of messy.
Yes, they're all boys. Yeah. What she didn't tell you though, Austin. Okay, so I don't know if it was the first time that she saw me that we actually met one another, but she mentioned about the eyes kind of thing. So I was in fraternity when we met kind of thing, and so I was a pledge. So I was being because you could haze a little bit more back then in the day kind of deal. And so I had long hair in high school, goatee, long hair kind of stuff.
So is a pledge someone who's like entering in, or
yeah. It's like you go through like the rush, the kind of initiation kind of thing. Yeah. So I was like it was pre-rush or they call it Hell Week kind of thing. But so I had long hair, and the night before that Keri and I guess met, one of the things is they had taken Crisco and put it all in our hair and other things. But with my long hair and this Crisco, which I had no clue how to get out. This is, I guess, pre-YouTube or whatever. So I had no idea how to get this stuff out. So it was extremely greasy. I'm talking about nasty, greasy kind of stuff. And so Keri will tell the story of when she saw me, I kind of looked like which I did listen to kind of Grateful Dead music, stuff like that. But I was either a hippie or homeless or something like that. She was like, does he ever wash his hair? Kind of thing.
I kind of thought, he's got pretty eyes, but I don't think he bathes.
Okay, that's important.
So I was who was like Brad Pitt, some of the guys who don't bathe. Yeah. Don't wear deodorant. That was her first impression of me. Beautiful eyes, but don't take a bath.
How you set it up was he's got these magical eyes.
I was trying to be nice.
And this is drawing you in, but then that...
Yeah, different picture. I know. Yeah.
Okay. What was it like, because y'all worked together too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We did. We did.
Were y'all working together when y'all were married, or was that before?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that like?
We actually worked for the same company when we first got married, but we worked in separate areas. So that was a little different. Yeah, we weren't really actually working together on a daily basis. But when we Well, actually, it was after we had all our children, and after Robbie and I had moved back from seminary, we opened up a Christian bookstore, and so we were together day in and day out on that, and that was very challenging.
Okay.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like I would do like the books and music and stuff like that, and Keri was kind of over the all the arts and crafts and all the Christian just home stuff or whatever kind of that decoration stuff is expensive. And so my mindset, I'm a frugal, call it cheap, call it whatever you will. Anyway, so I'm going in and I'm like trying to figure out how to sell Bibles and books on kind of discounted rate and still actually make a living. And then she would order this stuff and I'd see the bill and be like, oh my goodness, like we are not going to make it. So it was a struggle because finances and stuff in a marriage, and that just kind of added to.
Yeah, and then he decided to add on a coffee shop.
Oh yeah, go big man.
I mean,
make her go home.
My little decorations compared to a whole coffee shop was very, very small.
It was awesome while it lasted.
It was awesome. But.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, when we in college anyway, when Keri graduated a few months before I did, and she went to work for that company, and then I did when I graduated, but we were in different territories. And so while we worked for the same company, we were never like together besides like in meetings and stuff like that.
So when you felt called to the ministry,
yep.
What was that like for you?
Well, actually, that's an interesting story. We were both feeling a little tug on our hearts from the Lord. We had just started having our children, and we really we both grew up in church, basically, and we were like, we really need to have our kids in church, and we really weren't going on a consistent basis at the time. So it kind of just made sense to us that we wanted to get our kids in church. So we started going to our local church and started getting really involved. And then God just started kind of working on us. So, and during this time, I was pregnant with Bryce. And actually, it was during a what are they called? A revival. So, during one of the revivals, I think it was, I really just felt God trying to tell me something. Couldn't really figure it out. And then, he made it pretty clear to me. I don't know how to explain it. It's just one of those God things that, look, I'm fixing to call you guys to the ministry. I don't know why. I just had this feeling in my heart that that's what he was trying to tell me. And I'm just like, what? Like, have you seen me? Like, I'm not that kind of woman. Not that I was a bad woman, but I just didn't feel equipped to be called into the ministry. So, but he was really like telling me, I'm gonna ask Robby to be a minister, and I just kind of kept it to myself for a while because I just thought that was craziest thing ever. I mean, like, what am I even, like, am I making this up?
Yeah.
Like, there's just no way. I'm like, have you met my husband? Like, I know we're trying to do right, and we're trying to get our lives together and put you first. And
how long had it been since y'all started going back to church, like, consistently?
We always went off and on, but it wasn't ever consistent. If we didn't feel like going, we didn't go. It's just that kind of thing. But it was the kids that really had us kind of really wanting to go on a more permanent basis, and just really wanted our kids to know those Bible stories and everything that we had learned in church, and just thought, we want our kids there. So that was kind of how it started. I mean, obviously God did a lot more in our lives probably than, our kids at the time. But, so I kept that to myself and just thought, Lord, either I'm crazy or you're you're telling me something crazy. I don't know what's going on. So the more as the weeks went on. I don't know how many weeks it had been. But there was another church service where I think God let Robby know, what he was calling him to do. And so I had not shared my thoughts with Robby at all. And one day Robby came home and was like, you need to sit down. I got to talk to you. And it was just like, that was the moment I knew, like, this is it. He's really fixing to say this. And if he does, I'm going to freak out. But I felt like God probably let me know because I did have some time to think about it before he dropped it on me.
Yeah.
So I was still a little freaked out, but it was kind of like not a shock, if that makes sense. So Robby did. He told me, he was like, I really feel like God's calling me to the ministry. At the time, we thought it was more an evangelist type situation. And that's changed over the years. But when he told me, it was just like, yeah, I know. And I've been telling God this ain't going to work.
And that's exactly what she said, though, when I walked in and said, I got something to tell you. She said, I know. And here's so it was rapid fire, though. So Griffin, we were both, I guess, 24 when he was born. And so.
It's 2 years after you are married, right?
Yes. Yeah, right after.
I think we were married a year when I got pregnant, so probably, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So probably,
about 2 years.
Yeah.
After. But yeah, and was not a believer at the time. Oh yeah, we grew up in church. We wanted the best. You have kids, and yeah, like Keri said, you start you want the best for them, want them in the atmosphere early on, But it was just kind of in God's just grace in how He moved us. We were in Lowndes County, had built this. We thought it was our dream house, doing very well in business kind of thing. Keri's like, I kind of want to stay home, with Griffin. I was like, cool, this ain't going to work, one income and the house we have and stuff. So then we moved back to Alapaw. And so then we go back to Alapaw and, as kind of all this new child and transition, then we get connected with John Dixon and Keith Purvis and guys who, obviously we serve with now. But it's just that amazing how God kind of used Keri's desire to be home, with Griffin, that transitioned us back to my hometown kind of thing and got around these godly men. And then that's where God, through them and just other things that transpired, surrendered my life to Christ. And it was about a year and a half after that. So new believer, got just full force plugged in men's ministry and teaching and just wide open to, I think it was about 6 months that I knew, and I would not say anything. I wouldn't tell Keri because I knew.
You didn't hint at it at all?
Negative. Because I knew once I said it, there was no going back. You can't put that back in the jar. You know what I mean? For me, I'm all in.
Did it make you nervous to even go to church because you're like, well, I'm going to be feeding this thing?
No, I don't think I really thought about it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I loved, there was just so many, confirmations. I would take notes galore, just for a men's Bible study. And I might not even be teaching, but I knew where we were going, and I just ate it up. So I knew, even telling Keri, once I said it, we're in. And so I think I was in the office, and I walked out, and I was she was sitting in the living room, and I was like, I got something to tell you. And she was like, I know. And what was really cool about that, man, is because I was scared. Part of me was really, really just scared to death of the unknowns of that, being a new believer and just not knowing what was in the future, what even that meant, really. And then God had dealt with Keri's heart already, and I think that was just, again, his grace, because I needed that from her. I needed her to know and to be so supportive and I'm in this with you kind of thing, and let's go. Because I was already if she'd have said no, I might have been okay, cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was pretty neat.
Okay. So y'all would have had Bryce, 5 years after you got married? Is that right?
No. So him and Griffin are only 2 years apart. So.
I've been about 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3.5, 4.
Yeah, because I was 26 and a half, something like that.
Y'all started going to, getting back into church after Bryce was born, right?
Actually, while I was pregnant, I would say.
Yeah. Before Bryce was born, we had moved back to Alapaw, got more connected there before Bryce was even conceived kind of thing.
Okay.
So yeah, we were getting back in, and then when Keri was pregnant with Bryce, that's when we knew. Like, and that might have been when I shared with her kind of thing.
And we still didn't know Bryce was special.
Yeah, we had no idea. There was no signs in the pregnancy. I mean, she healthy pregnancy. I mean, I think you had more complications with Griffin, right? I mean, as far as just the pregnancy. So there was no sign of anything being different. You didn't
find out until the day of?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the day of. Yeah.
We had no clue.
So what was that day like? Can you just put us into that? Was there fear? Was there shock? Or like, was there even like this didn't go as planned? Like what are your feelings
there was
like
so
that
many
day?
different emotions. I would say all of those emotions and like more. It was a shock almost, but then there was also like a denial part, like, oh, it's gonna be fine, so he has a little learning disability or whatever, it's gonna be fine. And just not realizing, the I guess the full aspect of what we were about to face, as far as just our lives changing completely. Like that part didn't hit me at the time. Mm-hmm. I was just more in the mindset of it's going to be fine. Okay, he's going to have some special needs or whatever, but I don't think that part hit until a little later. Actually, it was a family member who I love dearly, but she did kind of just lay it out for me one day and said, look, he's special needs and he's always going to be special needs. Like, this is serious. And it made me mad at the time, but I know now, I mean, it was out of love, her just trying to prepare me. And I probably needed it at the time. Yeah. But, so I guess that's kind of when it really hit me. He was probably like a week old, maybe at that point, and I thought, okay, so this, and of course I was Googling and researching everything that I could possibly find. His condition is called Keri-Rowe syndrome, and it's very rare, so there's not a lot of research on it. Only 50 kids, at that time, which has been 17, 18 years ago, the research said that only 50 kids in the United States are born with it each year. So very rare. Like I said, it probably went undetected in a lot of cases. A lot of cases, I think, through my own research, I feel like it was probably detected several years after they're born. I just happened to have, in God's timing and God's grace, my gynecologist at the time, not even my pediatrician, but my gynecologist, heard Bryce cry when he was born. Mm-hmm. So, and he sounded like a cat, and that's where Keri-Rowe comes from. It's French for cat cry or cat-like cry. So he sounded like a little cat, and my gynecologist had just read something about cat cry. He couldn't even remember what it was. So he immediately told my pediatrician, you want to do genetic testing on him. I just read something about a cat cry, so do genetic testing on him. So she did, and that's when we got the results about a week later. So I had a kind of a week to say, okay, something's not quite right. But I wasn't devastated at that point until my sister-in-law, I love you, Monica, kind of broke it down for me and was like, yeah. So
did Bryce look different than...
He actually didn't. He had a small head. They call it microcephaly. But other than having a small head, his eyes were set a little differently than a typical baby. I think they were a little more spread apart. So this part, in the middle of your forehead's a little different. I wouldn't notice it, but, obviously nurses and the medical field do. And there's also a Palmer's crease, which is only just one crease in your hand. So if you look at your hand, you have at least two creases across your hand. When there's usually a genetic issue, they will only have one crease. So there'll just only be one of these long lines on your hand. And it's called a Palmer's crease. So that was there. There was a couple, little signs like that nobody, and not in the medical field will notice. So he looked perfect to us. He was a C-section baby, so his skin was perfect. He was dark complected. So, he was just the cutest thing I'd ever seen. I mean, so no, I wouldn't say there was any. And even now, you can look at him and tell he does have a small head, but as far as any features or anything, I don't think anything is,
So what is? I don't know how to pronounce what you had
Crittishaw.
said.
It's
Okay.
spelled CRI-DU-CHAT.
Okay.
Some people say Crittichat. I say Crittishaw.
So what
It's
is?
French.
Can you explain like what that like is that what makes that different than like a Down syndrome or other autism and stuff like that?
Well, I can give you the scientific definition, but you probably don't. Well, it's actually it's a partial deletion of the 5p minus chromosome. So that's the scientific part of it. When you have a genetic disorder like that, so there's going to be deletions of different parts of your chromosome. So we have this many chromosomes. I forget the number now. I haven't done this research in so long. But we have, so many chromosomes that you're supposed to have, and they're all numbered. But this particular syndrome is part of the 5p minus. So that's the scientific explanation. The traits that go along with that are many. The spectrum is very broad. So it goes from mild to severe on the spectrum. So Bryce tends to be more probably mild to middle part of that spectrum. And what the main problem, or I don't want to say problem, but the main disability that he has is mental retardation. So that's the main thing. Now there can be a lot of he has autistic characteristics as well, but that is the main. That is what Crittishaw is mainly about. Now with any genetic disorder, there's a slew of things that can go wrong. So your internal organs to physical features. So Bryce is very healthy. He should have the typical lifespan of a normal person. All his organs are good. He did have a small hole in his heart at first, but that's typical sometimes for babies. It's not a huge deal. Those usually close up within the first year. His took a little longer to close up, but it did close up. So, but other than that, he's not really had any internal problems or physical problems. So very healthy. And like I said, the spectrum is actually a doctor kind of, because when he was born, back to your question, like when I finally faced what he had, and I did all this research, and I'm like, well, my child doesn't look like any of these kids on the internet. Like this isn't him. Like, I don't understand. So I had a geneticist tell me, he explained to me that the spectrum was so broad, and that Bryce was Bryce, and I couldn't compare him to anybody else. And that was the best advice he could have gave me, because that's what every one of my questions was like, I wanted to compare him to other kids with Crittishaw, and I wanted to compare them at different ages, and I just wanted to know what my life was about to be like. But he really set me straight that day, and I got a new outlook on it. And I said, you know what, day by day. And that's how we have always lived our lives since Bryce was born. It's just day by day. So.
Okay. And so mental retardation, that doesn't mean that his brain just doesn't work at all. Is it just like slow processing?
Yeah, so he's probably got the mental capacity of like a 4-year-old.
Okay.
And he's 17. So, but yes, he is absolutely able to learn.
Can he like move up from that, or is that just the cap, I guess?
So we're not real sure. I have hopes for him to grow from that. So he's in a very good special needs program at school. He does go to public school, which I thought I'd never do, but God showed me different there too. But he has a really good program that teaches him actually life skills. So I have high hopes for him. I have goals for him that yes, he will definitely be able to grow intellectually more. And be able to do more and more things on his own.
Okay. How about you, Robert? How did you feel when you found out that Bryce was special needs?
Yeah, it was shock. I mean, yeah, I don't know, just because we didn't know, and I don't know if that would have changed anything, but during the, Keri's pregnancy, not knowing, and there was complications, because his iron was like really low. There was things like right off the cuff that
Yeah,
they had
that's
to,
true.
they didn't just, typically bring the baby to you or stuff like that. I mean, but again, I smiled when Keri was saying that, just God's providence. Here's her doctor that has just so happened to have read up on something that is at that time so rare and was able to catch it so early, and it's just amazing to see. But the first part, I guess, was shock. And then again, it was during that time that God had called me into ministry. And so Bryce was about 6 months old?
Yeah, he was about 6 months old. And you're probably going.
Yeah. He'd been in the hospital most of the 6 months of his life. I mean,
yes.
we were in Jackson. We were all over the place. Atlanta.
He was born in December, so he was born in a, where cold season is rampant. So he would get a cold and he would quit eating because you get stuffy, and he's already got a small head, so his passageways just shut down completely. He wouldn't eat. He didn't feel like eating. His ears, he would have ear infections. He just didn't feel like eating. He stopped up. So, but that happened all the time because it was just the season, and the least little sniffle would turn into a sinus infection for him because of the small passageways. So, yeah, when he was, I would have to take him to the hospital because he wasn't eating. I knew he would get dehydrated, so I'd take him to the hospital. They would put a feeding tube in to get him fed. And he was also a little bit colicky, the food. He wasn't quite swallowing right. So there was other little things that were going on as well. And that's just part of Cretaceous syndrome and having a deletion of a chromosome. A lot of times kids have trouble eating and swallowing and that kind of thing.
He still does. Yeah.
Yeah, he still actually does a little bit.
A lot. And we thought, they did do a feeding tube, and we thought he may have a feeding tube the rest of his life.
Yeah, there is a permanent feeding tube. So, yeah, probably every month for the first 6 months of his life, we were in the hospital at some point with a feeding tube. Yeah. And we were actually in Jacksonville and at the Children's Hospital there, Wolfson's. And they were just about to put in a permanent feeding tube. And wasn't know how we felt about it, but, I thought, we just got to do what we got to do. And he actually got better that day and started eating better. So anyway, we ended up not doing the permanent feeding tube. And I think he was in the hospital one more time in Tifton. And we were actually, at this point, planning on moving to seminary. And that would be in Wake Forest, North Carolina, so away from family and friends. It took a while for me to get there with God because I was like, I got this special needs kid. I've got a 2-year-old. I've got family here that can help me. And you're wanting me to go to seminary in North Carolina, 8 hours away from our family. And God confirmed that in several different ways. But one of the most amazing ways was that Bryce got out of the hospital on a Saturday or maybe Friday night, and we moved to North Carolina on a Sunday. Mm-hmm. And he never was in the hospital again once we moved. So that was just a miracle in itself, and just God's grace and God's confirmation that we were doing what we should have been doing. And once we followed him, and meaning God, once we finally once I let him take control and realized that Bryce wasn't just my child, he was his first, and that I couldn't control all these things, all these services and everything that I was trying to do for Bryce. I didn't realize that, God has a plan for Bryce, and I just need to step back a minute and let him have his child. And I actually, at one point, I had told God, I'm like, I didn't know if he's going to live or not. And I said, he's yours. If you want him, he's yours. And I was just at that point to where I was okay with it. If you're going to take him, take him. Yeah. He's yours. He's yours before he's mine. And he took God, that's when he kind of changed my life and changed my whole everything. So once I made that change in my heart, I never had another worry about Bryce. All his therapists in North Carolina were wonderful. Everybody that met him, fell in love with him. I was never scared to send him to school. I thought I would homeschool him the rest of my life. And God showed me different there. His therapist recommended a developmental preschool where he started out in North Carolina. And that was the best thing ever for him, is to actually letting go of him, to let him go to this preschool. And he thrived, and he, grew mentally. And it was just the best thing for him, and never had to worry about the reason I of course wasn't going to send him to school or anything is because I didn't want anybody to hurt him or make fun of him or make fun of his brothers because they have a special needs child, because he had an older brother and a younger brother. So I thought, I'm just going to protect him always. And but I've never once had to worry about that throughout Bryce's life. And he's 17. I mean, with every therapist, with every school teacher, and with Griffin and Cole's friends, they've always just loved on him. And to this day, we walk in a grocery store or any store in our hometown, and Bryce knows more people than I do. I mean, everybody's coming up to Bryce, and I have no clue who they are, but everybody knows Bryce. So I've just never had to worry about him being mistreated or anything else. It's just a peace I've always had, and I thank God for that.
Yeah, because so before we moved to North Carolina, and God's called us to ministry, Keri and I both, we prayed about it. God's affirmed it. And this child has been in the hospital for basically 6 months of his life. And we are about to move with no one that we know there or with anyone that's going with us 8 hours away with this child. And so we went up for a visit. Our pastor at that time, mentor of mine, he was like, listen, he's a firm believer. Put your feet on the ground. Like, go, pray, sit in on classes, do whatever, visit, and just let God, clarify, yay or nay kind of thing. And we were like, okay, cool. And so we went up, I can't remember, a Thursday or what it was anyway. We went up on a day just to visit the campus. And we stayed at a hotel right out of Wake Forest in Raleigh. And man, I remember, like, dude, I couldn't sleep that night because my mind's racing. And like I said, the first part of the emotions was just, it's just shock. But then there's anger. Like, I was ticked off a little bit. I mean, God and I, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, listen, I'm willing to do whatever, but this is my child kind of thing. And then there was not just anger. A lot for me was guilt, because there was this time, especially even while we were in North Carolina or leading up to it, where I just felt like it was God punishing me. Not like because I had done so much in those 26 years pre-Christ, sin and selfishness and all that. And I thought somehow that this was God, kind of like doing this to my child. And so I had a lot of pity party, and even that was selfish. But
I'd imagine that story in the Bible of the disciples who ask about, like, what did the parents do wrong?
There's a man born blind at his birth has been blind, and the disciples are asking, who sinned, he or his parents? And Jesus like, neither one. So the works of God may be displayed through him. And so we were in North Carolina at this, at the campus and in this hotel, couldn't sleep, and I'm just having this talk with God. I'm like, God, I need a sign. Like, I need to know, because I feel guilt and I feel shame and for my own sin and the unknown of him. And now we're moving, and I knew there was family members who didn't agree with this. I mean, out of sheer concern.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this is just, it just seemed like the completely wrong time, and it seemed completely upside down. And I just remember that being one of the times God's never spoke to me audibly, but that was as loud and as close as I think been. And God was like, he is your sign. He is your miracle. Like, why are you asking me? This is what I called you to do. And Keri and I even, the ride home, 8 hours, and we're going back and forth. We were doing kind of one of those, like, the good and the bad. Why not?
We were doing all the negatives. Like, we can't move
It's
here.
8 hours.
Like, this is 8 hours from our family. We just can't do this. Like, this is just not going to work. I mean, it's a great campus and everything, but we just can't do this.
And we were like, oh yeah, but God wants us to.
Well, it was almost like one of those. like movie things where you're like, we looked at each other, we're like, we're supposed to be, we got to move to Wake Forest. And then again, like we bashed it so bad, and then we're like, we got to move to Wake Forest because we both knew.
To Keri's point, man, we get there, and you're in the triangle, like that area of the world, of the U.S. anyway, that's getting the best medical care possible for this child.
We have Duke University there.
Yeah.
So their medical facility, and we also had what's the other North Carolina school?
NC State, UNC.
UNC.
Yeah.
So, and those two have the best medical schools in the U.S. I mean, like they are top notch. Yeah. And so, yeah, we had the best doctors that Bryce could possibly have. So.
And one thing that was really cool about it too is we have a special guest.
There he is.
Yeah. Bryce is here, and something has come apart on his iPad.
Hey, Bryce.
Bryce, you want to tell everybody hey? Can you say hey? He's just out of breath.
He couldn't find us, probably.
There's the pout of the arms. Across his arms.
Say hey, Bryce. Say hey.
The deep breaths.
You can't say hey?
But one of the cool things, man, is so we're there, and he's gonna cry. I was right there with him. He it not only gets the best care, but to Keri's point too, man, we got plugged into a great local church. And while we had gotten plugged into a local church before we left and saw great fruit and just built relationships, when we got there, man, we saw community done really well. I mean, our Sunday school class, our small group, they loved us. We didn't know when we got there, but they actually would come to the house, an older couple, and would keep, at that time, Griffin and Bryce. And again, we didn't want to leave anybody with Bryce. Because it was just one of those things like, man, what if he gets choked? What if something happens? You know, kind of deal. We would drive up in church parking lots, and he would just fall apart because he had, like, such social anxiety. Like, you get him in crowds at that time, and he'd get crocodile tears. We would drive up in some church parking lots, and then we'd leave. Be like, we can't do this. Or we'd go into the churches, and they wouldn't have a special needs department.
Yeah. And we would worry about leaving it with someone.
And they were too. They look at you like, I don't know if we can.
Yeah, a lot of times we got those looks like, I don't know if we can take care of him. You know, like it was just kind of.
Did that almost make y'all want to give up at times? Of like, was it overwhelming experiencing that, or did you quickly find the right community?
I would say, and you can answer too, Robbie. I'll answer for myself. I would say a little of both. Like it was overwhelming and it was a little frustrating, but at the same time, it was kind of God like showing us a need that we could help with. Like I wanted to help. So I volunteered. I volunteered in the children's ministry, and and they actually did start putting a helper with with Bryce. Like one person, started helping with Bryce, and so that they could just focus on Bryce, kind of thing. So it was like a shadow, I think is what they called him, called the person. So we saw them try to help us. They might not have known exactly what to do at first, but they went above and beyond to try to help accommodate us, and that made me want to help as well, just to help if there were any other special needs, or to this day, like if there's a special needs person in our church, I wanted to. That's just always been a big part of what we want our church to have, is a special needs department that. When you come in, you're not like ready to leave because you don't know what to do with your special needs child. Yeah. So we want to be able to accommodate those special needs kids. And sometimes that's really hard. It's really hard for the parents because you don't feel comfortable leaving them just with anybody, or you don't know if they're able to handle the needs that they have. It wasn't so much scared that they're not going to take care of them. It's scared that my child probably may scare you. Like, it's hard to explain. Like, I didn't want my child to be a burden on the caretaker, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I try to make sure that I make that known, that it's okay if they holler and scream, and, or whatever the situation may be. We're still here to help.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was some frustration, because initially, to Keri's point, like, I remember I think we were in Chick-fil-A. We were at some like fast food restaurant that had a little playground, and it was the probably the first time where I saw kids like look and start saying things to one another about Bryce.
Yeah.
And you knew it was going to happen. Like, but the first time I saw it, man, it just broke my heart. It's like, what is he going to deal with? You know, what are his brothers going to deal with? But as far as even like, you know, going to the local church kind of thing, we were hesitant because, again, worried, because we had experience even before we went to North Carolina. He was back and got choked. I mean, we would tell him, hey, don't give him anything to eat. Like, just don't give him anything. And somebody thought they were, you know, able to smash something up, probably like a goldfish or something small, and he got choked. And she comes running into the sanctuary holding him, like scared out of her mind because he's choking and she doesn't know what to do. You know, and so that was kind of our fear, you know. But to Keri's point, too, it became one of those, like, when we saw people who might not have been equipped, didn't have something already in place, but they were willing to try. They were willing to learn. Yeah. And it just kind of put that in our heart as, like, yeah, because there's others. And I remember the first time I actually preached, it was in, you know, about 30 minutes from here at a church. And I actually shared a little bit about Bryce's testimony. And as soon as I got done, a young lady came up to me. She was like, we haven't been to church in years, and it's because we have a special needs child. And so they felt that same thing. And there's so many, you know what I mean? There's so many families that I know that are going through the same thing that Keri and I went through with Bryce. As far as, you know, hey, we want to go to a local church and gather and do community and life together, but he just makes it a little more challenging.
What was it like, the conversation like with Griffin and Cole about their brother? Like, how did you explain? Because I'd imagine you can't, like, me and my brother wrestle all the time. You ain't gonna you can't wrestle the same, maybe.
Yeah.
Or
so
maybe he does.
Yeah, he can handle his own.
Okay.
But yeah, so.
And even like teaching like, with Griffin and Cole being young and dealing with Bryce too, like you gotta be a little bit more patient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and another thing, and Keri could speak to some of this a lot better than I could, probably, but I know like we've always had, like, I don't know if we had as many conversations with Griffin, the older brother, just because, I mean, obviously being older, you know. Cole we did, because one of the things that we worried about was we show so much attention to Bryce because he kind of demands so much attention. Is we felt like if we focus so much on him, you know, there's three of them. You know, what are we giving to the other two? And so that was kind of always a concern, especially with Cole being the younger one. So I think I've had more conversations with Cole about Bryce and, you know, just kind of why we have to do things a little bit different, you know, sometimes, and how he may not get some of the attention, especially early on, because of Bryce.
Yeah. And so Griffin, he was, like Robbie said, he was older, so he kind of grew up, you know, just knowing. He saw what we went through on a daily basis. So he was, it took him a few years, but I think probably by middle school or so, he had become very protective of Bryce, and he was more of a protector for him. So it took Cole definitely a little longer to grasp on to Bryce's special needs, and and it's funny because Bryce really knew Cole was his younger brother too.
Oh yeah,
and so they clashed a lot. And when Cole would try to help, or you know, or maybe get a little rough with Bryce, or whatever the situation was, fighting over something, Bryce would definitely handle his own.
He would go after him.
He would go after him like any other.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would go after him like any other little brother, you know.
Yeah, okay. He gets that look in his eyes. And Cole knows, but, you know, Cole thinks, well, I can handle him. But Bryce is strong as all get out, and he's bigger than Cole. So it's, but yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know. I've asked Griffin, you know, obviously later in life, you know, if anybody ever had somebody pick on him, and his always was like, nah, they know better. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And he really means that. Like, we knew we tried to keep him kind of in the same school and that sort of thing as long as we could, just because we knew that he'd look out for him. kind of deal.
Yeah,
So,
and he always has. But
Yeah.
I don't think he's ever had to do anything.
No,
Like
no,
I said,
no.
everybody has always treated Bryce
Yeah.
so good, and we've just
Yeah.
fortunately not had to worry about that part of life with a special needs child. I mean, God just gave
Well,
us that peace.
Yeah. I've had, though, I can't remember, maybe it was when he was young, really young. I remember, like, because you do, like, so he can't communicate. He can say words and even sentences that you may understand here or there. And obviously we know more, and he does some sign language and stuff like that. But man, one of the fears for me is like, or it isn't now, but it was at a time, was what if somebody does something while he's at school? We wouldn't know. How would he express it? What if somebody abused him or did something? I mean, that was a fear. It was like, he's at school, and Griffin or even Cole may be there, but they're not together. They ain't same grade and same class. They're not hanging out together. It was just a lot of like, I don't know, just worry about, will somebody take advantage of him because of, him not being able to communicate or defend himself or whatever else. But again, that was just kind of one of those things that you worry about, but it's true of, all our kids. We protect them and do whatever we can, but ultimately, we trust God.
Yeah.
It's tough.
I'd imagine it, one of the questions I had was like, how did it bring your family together?
Yeah.
A family without a special needs kid,
Mm-hmm.
your family, you got each other's back. And there's also like, you're not actively like intentionally serving each other constantly. But then you have a special needs kid come in, and I'd imagine like you always got to have that like servant's mindset of, yeah, but we're really in this, and it kind of forces the family to really come together around like one purpose of like, we're serving each other, but we're really serving, in your case, Bryce.
Mm-hmm.
Is that?
Yeah, and I actually think they've done really well with it. It has brought us closer, I think, as a family. Our kids have been or growing up with a special needs sibling. You see a lot of things. I mean, you see your parents, how they at times struggle with it. So there's been times my kids have seen me break down in the car because Bryce is, throwing something at me or pulling my hair, or, he used to have little episodes a lot. But so my kids have, I think they have, just grown up with it and have seen me struggle. But not only that, my kids, both of them, the older and the younger, so Griffin and Cole, when I had those meltdowns at times when Bryce is acting a little crazy, I guess, they would help calm him down. They learned how to help me. They saw I needed help. So both of them have done that for me. So, and it's a unique situation. And then I see them doing that for me, and it makes me proud of them and glad that, that I know it's hard and it's a struggle, but at least that they know, and have compassion now, probably more than any other child would have, without growing up with a special needs child. So,
and that's one of the cool things for me, especially with Griffin, again, just being the older, I guess, of the two, is how, like, Bryce has changed my life. And I know he has Keri's, like, how God has used him.
Yeah.
Like, in so many ways.
That was my next question.
But even for the boys, like, I truly believe, like, with Griffin, like, one of Griffin's best friends, would be on the spectrum kind of thing. And I just think there's this, like, him growing up with Bryce has just kind of changed the way you view people that are different.
Absolutely.
It just does. And I mean, it's awesome. Bryce does that for me. Like, I remember early on, like, just telling people, like, I want to see the world through his eyes. Because simple things make him laugh. He thinks he's, like, the funniest person on the planet anyway. He laughs at himself and stuff. He's a jokester.
He likes to make you laugh.
He likes to make, but there's such joy that comes from simple things from him.
Yeah.
The way he sees, I remember, man, we were at, I think I was meeting somebody or something for something, and we were pulled into a dollar store, and it was just Bryce and I, and we saw this older man from the bridge who Bryce adores. And so Bryce gets out, runs toward him, And Bryce is, again, he's a hugger, toucher kind of thing. And I'm thinking, well, he knows him. It's fine. And he kind of, the guy bends down a little bit, and Bryce just plants one right on the lips. I'm talking about smacked him right in the lips. And I was just like, I'm so sorry. He was like, oh, no, that's fine. Bryce, love Bryce, because Bryce doesn't see color. I mean, he knows. I mean, you can ask him his colors, but he doesn't care if you're black or white. He doesn't care your age or how much money you have, or all those things are just irrelevant to him.
Yeah.
I want to see people that way, So he's changed. God's just used him to, I don't know, just open my eyes and through even the difficult times. I know that God's used those times of doubt or frustration or anger or whatever it was or has been with Bryce to refine me, draw me closer to himself. So.
And yeah, I've had therapists, I've had teachers, so many different people come up to me and tell me how much that Bryce has, that they've seen God through Bryce. So I guess that's it's a special blessing I get because nobody else really knows, those types of things about Bryce. But yeah, just hearing all the teachers and different therapists at different times. So it's, different people saying this, basically the same thing, how much that they can just see God through Bryce. And that just touches my heart like nothing else. So yeah. I'm so fortunate and blessed, I guess is the better word, that Bryce has come in our lives like that, and that we're able to see God use him just in a doctor's appointment. I mean, It's just a simple doctor's appointment, but for some reason, I don't know, he's just got this light flashing in him that's like a God light.
Yeah, people early on, like even in seminary, and I don't think it was because of the housing, because we would go places and therapists somehow the conversation would go to God like almost immediately with Bryce. It was like, and then here's a kid that can't speak and has these, disabilities, and it was like none of that stuff mattered. Like it was like Keri said, kind of like a God light. Like God would just use him and even the circumstances we were going through for us to share with other believers, encourage other believers, and just share our faith.
Yeah. That I just edited the Abraham and Isaac episode before we recorded. And one of the things we kept talking about in there was how God does the unexpected. Mm-hmm. And, it's cool to hear about how, like special needs kids would often get looked down upon. And y'all talked about how you had this fear that he'd get bullied in school and church and whatnot. But then the surprise that you got that he actually was like bringing joy to people's lives, and God was using him in these like really special, unique ways that even with how you said you wish you could see the world through Bryce's eyes because he lights up about things that you overlook, and just how like it's a good reminder of like when you're around Bryce to notice those small things and like find God even in the little things. Oh yeah, because so often we overlook them.
Oh yes.
And we have to, like, for me too, because I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still times I'm frustrated, like because go home in the afternoon and we're an average family, normal family, whatever kind of thing. Oh, it's 5. I got 3 or 4 hours to do this or that. With Bryce, you're with him. You know what I mean? Or if you're going to go out to eat or the grocery store, it's going to be an adventure. I mean, it just is.
Yeah.
It's much better. It's a lot easier now than it was when he was little. But it's still challenging, But, man.
We can't just make split decisions. No. We have to, every decision we make, we're probably thinking about Bryce.
Yeah.
So and that's just our lives. Like, we don't, it's just what we do.
Yeah.
We wouldn't change it for anything.
So, because we need to wrap up.
Yeah.
What is, for someone who is a parent of special needs kids, what encouragement would you give them? Of like, maybe they just found out that their kid will be special needs and the fear setting in, or even like the kind of like what you were talking about before, Robbie, about how you you felt like God was punishing you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what would your advice be to someone who just found out their kid with special needs?
Well, first of all, go to Psalms. I'm sorry. Just Psalms 113.
139.
139. See, I just went blank. Psalms 139, verses 13 and 14. I would say read that as many times as you need to. And believe me, I've read it many, many times. That's like the verse that got me through a lot of those first moments of finding out that Bryce was special needs and what that was going to mean for our lives. But through those verses, it's, obviously talking about God made that baby in your womb, and he made him just the way he wanted him. So that might not be normal to you or to anyone else, but it was normal for him. So, it was normal to God. So God made him just like he wanted him, because he doesn't make mistakes. And that's the first lesson you need to learn. Like, there's nothing wrong with him. It's how God wanted him to be. Yeah. And the second thing is let God use him. Let God use, or her or he, but let God use them to do his work. I mean, there's just, like I said, there's so many different ways that you don't realize how God uses Bryce through people. There, every aspect of his life and ours. But just give your child to God and let God show you what he can do through your child, because it's his before he's yours. And I had to learn that lesson the hard way too. But it's his child before he's your child. And that's, I would say, I don't know how to put those in order, but they're both very important. Yeah. So that's my advice. Go ahead, Robbie.
That was mine too. God does not make mistakes. He doesn't make junk. Because we all are unique and distinct in what we call normal or abnormal or disabled, kind of thing. Like, again, Bryce is fearfully and wonderfully made. Like, God created him, designed him, formed him just like he wanted him. And so, yeah, I think that's just, again, trust in the Lord. I know that's an easy kind of thing to say and a hard thing to do in anything in life, especially if you have a special needs child. Yeah. It's easy to say, but it's hard. I remember Bryce just crying. Keri was talking about him being colicky, and he was like, good night.
He did cry for like
all the time.
7 months straight.
We were like going
And
insane.
Robbie just went to work every day. And I was at home. And I put on one of those, like, I don't know what they're called, little snuggly things that hold the baby to you, Yeah. They are better now these days, but back then, 17 years ago, you strapped it on, and I just put Bryce in there, and I bounced like all day long.
And she still bounces.
And to this day, if I cannot stand still, I still bounce. So I bounced that child for 7 months, I swear. Yeah.
And then I would say, if you don't have a special needs child or a relative that's, special needs, or you don't even know one, like, so for me, because they're all different. Like, we do a Night to Shine and other ministries with special needs families, and I love them. But I'm stretched even now personally when it comes to, because I know Bryce. Like, so if he's around, you may be a little like hesitant or uncomfortable or whatever until you get kind of used to some things. Like, I'm around him all the time, so I'm used to it. Stuff still kind of scares me. But then when I get around another specialist, it's like, well, they're different. They have different struggles and obstacles kind of thing. But it's kind of one of those things, again, it's just in life, you're going to miss out, Yeah. So, like, be vulnerable, learn, love them. Get very comfortable at being uncomfortable in life. That's just a general rule, and different from special needs. If you're comfortable,
you're not doing something right.
Love them, whether it's parents or guardians or whomever it is, their struggle, is real. So love them. Do what you can, to kind of aid, whether it's the church or just a neighbor. But get to know those special, because they are beautiful, man. Like, get over the external and your perception. For us, again, like, I know, like, I even, in different settings, even a youth setting at one time, had somebody use the R word, and I about came unglued.
Yes, we don't do the R word.
We don't do that. Like, there's certain things, but it's just changing the whole mentality. Like for that individual or for most, it's not I used to, when I was growing up, joke about stuff. Like we name call people stuff like that and just joking around. But now it's different because of Bryce.
And my kids grow up not being able to say the R word.
Yeah, and they don't. Yeah. So.
And they're friends.
And it just it changes. It changes you. So get to know them. I mean, it's okay if you don't understand or even a little uncomfortable. Man, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank y'all both for sharing your story.
You're welcome.
Thank you for crying.
You weren't supposed to say that.
Adds to it.
It's just hot in here. Sweat.
Yeah, it's just sweat.
Thank you to Bryce. He made a special guest appearance.
That's right.
Awesome.
Yeah. Fully clothed.
Yeah.
And he left. I was kind of seeing, did he take his iPad? Where did he go? He's like, man, I ain't saying
He was mad. I bet you looked this church over before he found us.
This has been another episode of Into the Fray. We want to thank you guys for listening. Please subscribe to the podcast on your podcast feed. We will see you next week for another conversation.